up, let me go up to the big screen and actually tell you what is the Indian community looking like and how are they in fact going to be deciding whom they vote for. It's important to understand that there are 5.2 million Indian Americans in the United States. 66% of them are immigrants. That means they were not born there. 34% are the ones who in fact have been naturalized. That means they were born there and obtained citizenship by virtue of birth. And it is the second largest immigrant group that exists in the United States. And apart from that, it is also a group of people, as is widely known, that is also perhaps the richest and has the maximum amount of per capita income amongst the immigrants who live in the United States. The Indian Americans, of course, in California constitute 20%. In Texas, they are 12%. New York, about 7%. And Jersey, about 9%. So California, the west coast of the United States, has the maximum number of the Indian diaspora, especially in the northern part of California, which is San Francisco, the Bay Area, Fresno, Santa Clara. And of course, if you go up north in Washington, in Seattle also, there is a good grouping of the Indian diaspora. But all in all, 5.2 million is not a small number. The median household income, something that I spoke about a moment ago, is $153,000. Right now, the per capita income in the United States, if I'm not wrong, is somewhere close to $85,000. And this is perhaps the double of that, more than double the average in the US. Exactly right. The bachelor's degree holders out of these Indian Americans in education are 77%, which is again double the average in the United States. So that means when it comes to higher studies, on education, and of course using that education to get ahead in the corporate world, Indian Americans excel in that. Eligible voters out of the 5.5 million are about 2.6 million, 96% likely to cast their mandate. They're active voters, they like to attend rallies, they like to in fact wear their politics on their sleeve, and they also in fact are completely passionate about the country that they have been naturalized to. The Indian American vote, of course, the party identification, 47% of this population has always been Democrat heavy. 47% of them have voted for the Democrats in the past, and 21% have voted for the Republicans, and 26% have always been in favor of independence. And remember, there is also a notion that whenever the Republicans come into power, the relationship between India and the United States has always been on the uptick as compared to Democrats, which have been more or less tilting towards China during Obama's presidency. And of course, Kamala Harris is going to be getting 61% of that vote, and Donald Trump is perhaps going to get 32% of that important vote by the Indian American. I'm not sure whether this has anything to do with Kamala Harris's ethnic background, but women in this percentage will constitute up to 67%, whereas for Donald Trump it will be 22%. And of course, those ratings have gone down very recently because of the certain comments that were made by Donald Trump in one of his rallies, and of course in the past as well. And let's not forget the lawsuits as well. Men, 53% of them will be voting for the Indian American men for Kamala Harris, and 39% for Donald Trump. So this is how it looks at this point in time. There is a gender gap, and let's look at the key policy issues also that the Indian Americans are definitely going to be voting for. A large chunk, of course, is looking at what inflation has been, though Joe Biden and the Democratic Party have gone on to say that inflation has been under control. Abortion is, of course, another sensitive matter which the Americans are talking about. Immigration again is a big concern. Perhaps this could be a reason why a lot of people would want to vote for Donald Trump. Remember, during the Trump era, only about 1 million people were able to enter through the southern border of the United States. But during the last 4 years, when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been in command, that number has been multiplied into 10. So that's around 10 million people coming illegally and sometimes legally also through the borders in the southern border of the United States. Civil liberties, climate change. Climate change is something which, of course, Donald Trump has debunked. He does not feel there is a climate change happening. It is all made up. Crime, taxes, US-India relations, education. These are, of course, issues, but smaller as compared to some of the big ones that we are talking about here. The Indian American vote in 2020, of course, 56% of that went to the Democrats, as has been the tradition and as has been the prediction as well for Republicans. In 2024, it is perhaps going to be the same, perhaps even a little dip of 21%. The independents would perhaps be going higher than 2020 at 26% as compared to 15% what we got to see in 2020. So the inference is that the share of Democrats declined by 4%, Republican share hardly changed, and proportion of independents rose. What describes this phenomena is something that we're going to discuss, but the fact of the matter is that according to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, this is basic comparisons between the 2020 vote and the 2024 vote. I'm going to in fact go across and indulge my guests who are going to shed more light as to how this is supposed to be played out. What are some of the key issues that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have been able to drive home?
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.